a little bit. Vuri Center is the economic capital of Cameroon, and so we are more concerned about the well-being of the finances of Cameroon rather than politics. So it's not exactly as you wished it to be.
Well, maybe not. We're not going to go into politics, but you are a politician from that area.
I happen to be, yes.
Yes, exactly. We have Tim Finian. Tim Finian is the CEO, publisher of Lifetime Media Group. He has come all the way from Bamenda for today's edition of the program. We are honored to have you, Tim.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm glad to be here.
And Victor Cham is the publisher of Municipal Updates, and you are here, Victor, to debate on this topic, control of government action is Parliament on it. Welcome, Victor.
Thank you very much, Kilian. I'm glad to be in the same panel with Honorable Gladys, Honorable Osi, whom I'm sure will tell us if what we're talking is on track.
And they are respected and respectable,
absolutely,
honorable members of Parliament. They are going to tell you just that. We're going to, without any waste of time, call on Guy Roger Nana to tell us what the press has been feeding on in the past week. Guy Roger.
Hi. On Monday, the Post newspaper highlighted FACO SDO wants Sonora taxes to be paid in Limbe, not Yaoundé. The weekend edition of the paper asks a series of questions, one of them being, should the PM be scapegoated for licensed unruly ministers' thievery? According to the paper, there have been increasing calls for PM Joseph John Gute to resign over the alleged scandalous embezzlement of the COVID-19 funds. This edition also questions, 1 year after, is the Limbe Seaport project another fool's gold to Anglophones? The new management of the National Communication Council, which now has retired senior CRTV journalist Joe Chebonkeng at the helm, accompanied by new faces like Professor Eno Tanjong, have expressed optimism in their task of moderating the journalism practice in the country. The Guardian Post on Monday committed its entire front cover on TB Joshua, stating that the world is in shock as he sleeps in the Lord. The Guardian Post on Tuesday calls out on attempts to play games with decentralization, saying CPDM Senator warns Northwest and Southwest will revolt against dictates from Yaoundé. We equally learn from this edition that 9 months after the contest, Limbe is still to receive the 150 million CFA francs Cleanest City Prize money. The City of Friendship won the 2020 Cleanest City Contest organized in honor of the World Habitat Day. Wednesday's edition of the Guardian Post states that the U.S. imposes visa restrictions on instigators of violence in a move seen as targeting those ordering or perpetrating killings, destructions, kidnappings, attacks on schools, burning of villages within the socio-political crisis situation in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. Biometric passports will now cost 110,000 francs CFA. The 35,000 francs increase ordered by the President of the Republic goes operational as from July 1st, 2021. The National Assembly has tasked government to clean nation of 7,000 illegal weapons in circulation in the country. The call was made by Honorable Kavaye Yege Jibril, Speaker of the National Assembly, as he opened the June session of the Parliament on Tuesday, June 8, 2021. According to The Horizon, the US rolls out tough sanctions on instigators of violence in the Anglophone crisis. Meanwhile, as per COVID Gate, Kavaye adds voice to condemning hasty conclusions. The Median headlines violence in Northwest and Southwest. US government sends grim signal to separatist kingpins. It also says the CPDM Central Committee supports Bia's resolve to hit hard on what it calls embezzlers of COVID-19 funds. According to the Newswatch, government spends 26 billion CFA francs annually on absentee teachers in the Northwest region. That is as a result of the armed conflict. The sun rays are on the Limbe deep sea port that is yet to take off 1 year after. According to the Voice newspaper, trapped in war zone, Catholic priest Sylvester Garba from amber captivity to military tribunal for terrorism. a clergyman between the devil and the deep blue sea. He is being accused of collaborating with separatist fighters. In the Star, the Kawala followers for peace petitioned the UN Security Council in what they call an urgent need for intervention for peace in the situation plaguing the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Our lone national daily, Cameroon Tribune, describes the transition at the National Communication Council with the appointment of Joe Chebonkeng as fresh blood injected. Wednesday's edition of the paper ponders on who is the real threat to dialogue in the situation plaguing the northwest and southwest regions of the country. Regarding the CAN 2021, Cameroon Tribune reassures that there is nothing to fear as the organization of the tournament will be effective in Cameroon. The Northwest and Southwest get their public independent conciliators in the persons of Telenen Dorothy Atabong for the Southwest region and Tamfu Simon Fai for the Northwest region.
Thank you very much, Guy Roger, for refreshing our minds with what the papers said in the past week. You listened to that. We are going to go straight into our topic. Just as a reminder, we're talking about control of government action. Is Parliament on that? The first question I will ask, I'm going to start with you, Honorable Ossi. When, as a parliamentarian, what do you put in that package, control of government action?
Well, I think it's control of government action is actually not a one-stop shop or a one-point agenda. It's the life of a parliamentarian throughout the mandate. I mean, it devolves from the constitution of the country, from the law relating to the fiscal regime of the state and other public entities, which clearly defines how Parliament should control the government action, and then it goes further into the standing orders of the National Assembly and concerning members of the National Assembly, and then to the standing orders of the Congress of Parliament. So those four instruments clearly tell us how we have to handle it. And I can tell you that if you go now into the law relating to the fiscal regime of the state, you will see that it is the organization of the control, because it's not the parliamentarian who controls government action, it is Parliament. And it's very important to note that. So it's the entire body that controls government action. And this is done through...
The entire body that controls?
Yeah.
We must come from parliamentarians, per se?
That's what I mean. Mm-hmm. It's Parliament, not the parliamentarian. It means that Joshua Ossi alone is not, how can I put it, qualified to control government action. I can go back to Parliament. I say, we have a problem with CRTV. This building needs refurbishment. It's long due. Or we are giving them too much money for what we are seeing, etc. And then Parliament takes action. Okay, I cannot do it on my own. Okay. It's Parliament that takes that action. And that's why we have what we call special rapporteurs in the National Assembly. We have special rapporteurs. We have divided government into 9 sections, just as the government itself does. And so each of those sections, be it education, health, infrastructure, defense, and so on, has 2 rapporteurs who are elected by the House to on a daily basis do that work and bring back reports to the Finance Committee, which the Finance Committee then tables to the House in plenary. So that's the way it is organized. Okay. Now, you can have special actions being taken. For instance, the Constitution and the laws provide room for parliamentary inquiries. So that can come either in the form of a call for a resolution from a member of Parliament or from the Bureau of Parliament. And once the Bureau of Parliament decides, they put in place an ad hoc committee that will carry out those investigations for Parliament, and then people will be summoned to Parliament to come and answer. You also have to understand, and that is very important, that Parliament cannot institute a parliamentary inquiry when the matter the issue at stake is already at the level of the judiciary, because the bodies cannot work on each other. So as soon as an issue is in the hands of the judiciary, Parliament cannot act upon it. And if Parliament takes up a parliamentary inquiry, the judicial has to wait until we finish and we bring our findings before they can open the case in justice.
Okay, you just answered that. I was going to ask whether there is no complementarity. You listened, Honorable Gladys, you listened to Honorable Joshua there. Is there something more that we can put into that package? Well, we have to understand what it means by control of government action.
Yes, thank you very much. My colleague has said a lot of things, but I want to go down to the base, to the basics. I believe that Parliament is actually on the control of government action. And I would like to put it this way. Parliament follows up on government action. When we go to the divisions, you see, when we pass the budget as a whole in assembly, this budget includes a lot of things for the divisions of the regions. That is for all the divisions that we have in our country. And Parliament follows up on the public investment budget, because at the level of the divisions and at the level of the regions, parliamentarians have been assigned to follow up these actions. They call them follow-up committees, and these committees are set up by government. So what the parliamentarian actually does at the base is follow up to make sure that the things, the allocations which go to the different divisions are actually used and are actually, that is the constituents, the people in those areas benefit from government action.
Yes, exactly. That's very interesting and very important when we talk about follow-up.
Yes.
And we know that for about 10 years, I've been following that up. We have not used the public investment budget up to 50%, except I'm making a mistake. It could just have been one exception in so many years. It's about 30–40%. If you actually follow up, what happens? How do you follow that up? And it is much of it is not used. And some of even the projects that are there are not carried out.
Yes, I think that just as the name says, it's a follow-up committee. And as a follow-up committee, you follow up to see the level of execution. You follow up the contractors. You follow up the technical services to make sure that they are doing what they have to do. You see, it is not the parliamentarian's role to go and you know, I don't know how to put it, force the contractors to do the work. And it is not it is a little difficult for the parliamentarian in areas where we have conflict.
Maybe not forced, but be a whistleblower.
Yes, we are whistleblowers. That is what the committee is supposed to do. Yes, when you notice those things, you blow the whistle, and in fact, another aspect is that it is not just to blow the whistle for things which are wrong. It is also to blow the whistle when things are good, so that you encourage the people. You encourage. When we talk of government, who is government? We are all government. We encourage the people at their different levels, the civil society, all the stakeholders at the follow-up committee, to make sure that they are doing what they have to do. And when they do it well, we encourage them. And when they do not, we help them to see the need to do it better.
We are going to come to some examples. You will tell us examples of what you have done as Parliament, if not as parliamentarians, because Honorable Osi actually made the difference between the two. Tim, thank you for coming all the way from Bamenda. There are people who call control of government action as actually holding government to be accountable. That actually sounds like making sure that government makes public and does the work for which it's there. When you hear that, the two honorables say that this is what it is. What is your take? Does Parliament do its job at this level?
Thank you very much, Killian, and I'm glad to say I'm here with two MPs, which I respect very much because of what I've been following up in their own constituencies. But to say Parliament is on it, I cannot really accept because, as Honorable said, when they follow up government action, good. We hear everything they say in the Parliament, but when we come back to the base, we get nothing. So I think
you get little or you get
little
nothing?
or nothing. Little or nothing.
Because nothing is like nothing is done, eh?
Yes. Honorable Madam Gladys said here, good, but when you look at the socio-political atmosphere now in the northwest and in the southwest regions, only few of them are on the field. Most of the parliamentarians voted in no, you don't know where they are.
Well, but it's not. It is not their fault. It's the fault is that of the environment.
Yes, the fault is that of the environment, Killian. But I would have preferred to decline than to be voted an MP, an absentee MP.
No, you will be saying it will be like you want the thing to continue. Don't you think that at one point
we are praying that it should at least boil down. All of us are praying for peace, because if things continue that way, it has disturbed a lot of projects. Particularly, contractors are not able to go into interior areas to execute contracts. Even road repairs, nobody is willing to go because they are afraid of being kidnapped.
Yes, they should actually be afraid because people are kidnapped. Victor, does the environment, the political environment, make it possible for parliamentarians to do their job? That's what he has started answering.
Yeah, I think it would depend on the environment. In the northwest and southwest regions, it's a different situation or scenario. But in the other 8 regions, it is different. MPs from the other 8 regions may have sufficient security to go about monitoring government projects. Those who belong to the BIP follow-up committee, especially, they have that opportunity, not having any obstacle that would make them not to follow up what government is doing in terms of project execution, like pipe bomb water, royal electrification, and other projects. But I'll come back to the issue of is Parliament actually on government action? I would say partially, yes. Partially because I've often advocated for parliamentary sessions, that's plenaries, to be live on TV. Because what goes on there...
We have had some live on TV.
I mean permanently live on TV. As soon as they are in session, in plenary, it should be live on TV. I went there twice during the last session. What I saw, very interesting, they took government ministers to tax.
Oh, yes, sure.
The PM was there and clarified MPs on the issue of the school book list. And MPs understood why the minister, that's Professor Lyonga, came up with the book list she did. And they were very happy. I was there.
I just need to correct one point. It's not true. It's not that it's not true.
Yes.
You cannot come on CRTV and say MPs understood, because it's not that we did not understand in before. Okay, we had a query on the issue, and she came and gave explanations.
Exactly, which was good, and that's the part that we want, that government and parliament should collaborate.
Now,
let me land.
Yeah, okay.
Let me land. The problem is that when parliament fails to control government action is when parliamentarians become contractors.
That's serious.
And when they become contractors and they abandon projects, for example, or they execute halfway, it becomes a problem. Who then controls? And I will really elaborate on this because I have some examples.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I think, like Honorable Osi just made mention, when MPs are in doubt, it's not because they do not understand. They need further clarification. But it becomes complex when the referee is the player.
Now, he has said it.
Very complex.
He has said it, Honorable. Yes. You are referees and you are players, you are contractors.
Well,
you may not be as a person, I don't know.
Let me know, I am not. I can rest you assured I am not as a person. But let me bring back the debate to where it's supposed to be. Your theme is all around controlling government action, is all embedded in a law, which is a recent law. okay, which came about because parliamentarians fought for it to come. We have a very modern public finance system that has been put in place by CEMAC. Okay, and this is embodied in 6 directives. And Cameroon was the last country. We were supposed to have this in place since 2013 latest, that is 10 years after 2003 when the directive number 6 came into play. And it is only now that we're starting to use it. And that is why we had to go towards program budgeting and all of that, which is embodied in that law. So to make it, maybe to explain it in simple terms, Cameroon belongs to all Cameroonians. Okay, and for Cameroon to function, we use tax in various forms and formats. This money all comes into one basket. Okay, and Cameroon is supposed to elect people who take over government. I say supposed because we are far from free and fair elections. And when they are in government, what they do is govern the country using that money.
You were elected.
And let me get there. And the Constitution puts in place a parliament that has a certain role to play. Okay, so in the month of June, government comes before parliament and says, okay, in the next year and the next 3 years to be in the program, this is where we want to take Cameroon to. This is what we want to do. We want to put more emphasis into education. We want to put more emphasis into health. We want to put more into roads. The government can come and say, we want to build a new road. And parliamentarians say, no, we have too many kids in our classes. We want more classrooms and more teachers. That's the debate. They go home with what Parliament has said. And when they come back in November, the first control of government action is what we told them in June inside the finance bill for the year coming. Yes. That's the first control. The second control is that our special rapporteurs, because when you give $1 billion CFA budget to ministry XYZ, you cannot... He can come back and say he executed it, he did this, he did that, and you don't have the proof of it. And that's why you need a special rapporteur who comes back and says, well, in the first place, because you don't even have proof of the tax amount, they could collect 5,000 billions of tax and come to Parliament and say they just collected 3. Yes. So that's why we have those special rapporteurs. Let me just go to the point. That's why we have those special rapporteurs who come and tell us that what actually happened on the field via the Finance Committee, what actually this government is saying is correct, because we have been and we have seen. Now, let us not go too much into the local investment budget execution, which represents about 2.1% of the entire. We are, unfortunately, not yet the federal state, but we are in decentralization. Let me just, it's very important. Yes. And all those local projects are being transferred to the councils. They are being transferred to the regional bodies being put into place. And so what is important for the parliamentarian is where the state is going, is the macro environment, which is the most important thing for the parliamentarian. It doesn't remove the obligation to make sure that at the grassroots everything happens too, but the most important thing for the grassroots to exist, the macro environment has to exist too.
Yes, we understand you very well, but we cannot share aside, even if it's 2%, what he said, that parliamentarians, yes. It's actually an accusation. Parliamentarians become referees and players when they themselves, because it's known that they are contractors.
That is absolutely true, and it is something that should be fought against. And in the proposal for an electoral code that the SDF put forward in 1997, and we still stand to it, it is important that parliamentarians there should not be any conflict of interest, whether you're in government or whether you're in parliament. In a normal parliament, you have what you call a declaration of interest. When you get into parliament, you sign a declaration of interest. You say, I was a teacher, I was an entrepreneur, I was whatsoever. I am the vice president of Fcfa. It is not normal that if a bill on sports comes into parliament, that I sit there and argue. I cannot be judge and party.
Okay,
so
we've understood that.
But that all has to be embodied in the rules and regulations or in the standing orders of Parliament. It has to be in it, and those are things the opposition is fighting for to happen. And Victor is correct that you cannot be judge and party to all of that, but I think we also have an obligation to understand our public contracts code, which also at one point takes care of all of that.
Yes, okay. Honorable, you've been speaking for long. I agree
That's why
that we have to go
me.
long. Yes, I agree. I just stay with you on another thing that Victor said. The team also, they talked about the environment, the physical environment where we have things difficult in some places because of trouble. But in terms of, I want to ask you, particularly in terms of political environment, is it possible for Parliament, the Cameroonian Parliament, to actually control government action? You understand what I'm talking about?
You're asking me?
Yes, political environment. In 1 minute, if it's possible.
In 1 minute, it will not be possible. Give me 2. We have to understand where we come from and where we're going to. That's maybe the question you're asking. Today, you cannot have a parliament that has an obese majority put in place by the executive that doesn't want to make sure that there is a level battlefield during elections so that the people can be well represented, let me use that term to remain diplomatically correct, and at the same time hope that that body, because the referee and
the player,
the judge and player issue comes already from the election. When you have a 90% ruling party in Parliament, you simply have a body that accompanies.
But they won
the
elections. They won elections.
Well, just a while ago, before the microphones were on, you were not of that opinion.
Honorable Gladys.
Yes, thank you very much. I want to differ with my colleague when he says obese majority. We all went for elections. If the opposition had the opportunity to have as many parliamentarians as the CPDM does have, there would have been an obese majority. So I believe that we should give respect where respect is due. All parliamentarians went for elections, and those who won. And I believe that it is not because they are of the ruling party that they should be giving names. You don't need to kill a dog to call it a bad name. We just need to be able to appreciate.
I was not giving any bad name.
Well,
with all due respect, I was just saying.
When you say obese,
I was just saying that when you have
giving us
no, it's not a bad name. It's not a bad name.
It is a bad name. Please,
when you have an
when
you have an MP who stands up,
yes,
when an SDO walks in, you already have a problem. Okay, so what I'm simply saying is that...
Don't you know that there is respect in life? I personally respect people, whether you are an SDO or not. It doesn't mean that because I'm an MP, I should not respect you. I respect your office.
Honorable, I walked into this office, you didn't stand up. So respect should not be geometrically
But I greeted
what
you.
I'm just
Both of you are honorable.
I have a lot. No, it's just what I'm trying to say, Killian, is that we cannot be complaining that we have a problem. Okay, that contracts are not going to the end, that this, that.
We have a right to complain, and I think Victor has a right to complain.
We cannot...
If there are parliamentarians who are contractors...
Okay, let me reformulate it.
Yes, reformulate it.
Let me reformulate it. I like the way you complain. I like the way you complain, because that complaint is genuine, and that complaint is unanimous all over Cameroon. And in the real democracy, how do you correct that? Is via elections.
Yes.
You call those who have been embezzling to go back to where they came from, and you put new people in place via an election. But when the electoral code is such that the population cannot do that,
cannot do what?
Cannot. They are in the. We are in the impossibility.
We have the possibility. In fact, there is no human endeavor which is 100%. But I think that we are moving forward in our country.
Yes,
and we have
nobody
have
said that we're moving back.
Talking about that.
Yes, so let the people take what we have, use what we have to get to where they want to get to,
yes,
to do the change that they want.
I'm told
That's
that
what we are saying.
there's a colleague of yours, Honorable Walang Richard. He's a member of parliament from Menchum South in the Northwest region, and
CPDM, right?
CPDM, of course.
There we go.
He is standing by, and Honorable, let me ask you: are you on? My director says that he's on. What are some of the examples that Parliament has exhibited to show that they control government action? Honorable Walang.
Yes, you believe with me that during the opening session, the President of National Assembly said it all. And you know, Parliament, if you look at like the COVID gates, the Parliament, the President, at his opening speech, he said it all, that the government should hasten up with the investigation of COVID gates and take their time, and people who are supposed to go into books, they should come out with the results of the investigation. That's another means, another way of controlling governmental action. And you know, we also voted the law of this regional house, which has been put in place, and we are doing everything to see into it that things should go the right way. Just of recent, when they were voting their budget, you believe with me that you saw parliamentarians who were at the budgetary session. That's to tell you that those things will have to be on the field.
Yes, Honorable Walang Richard, don't go away. Continue to follow this debate here. We may get back to you when necessary. Yes, yes. He has raised some issues. Parliament, in the opening session, the President said an example is that the COVID gate should be thoroughly investigated and results are awaited. Of course, the President of the Republic already ordered for that. Honorable Etombi.
Yes, thank you, Killian. I was going to say something concerning what Victor said. He made a claim or an allegation. I don't know which one to. And he said that parliamentarians are contractors, and they cannot be the contractor.
Which means that it will be difficult for them to control certain things since they are already part of them.
When they are contractors, it becomes difficult, in fact, compromising.
Yeah, please, let me say what I have to say. I want to say that there are many parliamentarians. In fact, I'm one of them. I have been a contractor for 44 years. Because I came to Parliament, I would not stop what I have been doing over the years. But there is conflict of interest when you, as a parliamentarian, pick up jobs which are directly concerned with the jobs that you control. It's conflict of interest. Parliamentarians should have integrity. They should be able to speak out for what is correct and for what is wrong. For the past 8-10 years, go and check and hold me responsible if you find me guilty. I have not taken one job, in that light. Yeah. But you know, there are those of them. That way, I can go to a meeting and I stand up for what is the truth, and I can talk both ways.
Okay.
So I want to say that if there are parliamentarians who are doing jobs, conflict of interest, please respect yourselves and do what you have to do as a parliamentarian.
Yes, Tim.
Control the work that is out there.
Killian, I would like to add some few things from what Honorable said there, which I was very happy. But I would like to say that
we are two.
Yes, he's right. You should say which of the Honorable.
I mean, Honorable Osi. Because for me, I think that the rapporteurs are not actually doing a good job. We are talking about investigating about COVID gate now. The ministers that if we investigate them in this country will land them on underground cells. Because when you talk about rapporteurs, I think they don't actually go down to the field to see what is happening in the field. Let me give you an instance. There was a landslide sometime in Wabane. A team of ministers left Yaoundé, destined for Wabane. They ended at Ayaba Hotel in Bamenda and wrote a report and returned to Yaoundé.
Well,
Then, no, I'm coming here.
I hope that is not social media talk.
No, it's not social media. That's the truth. Now, let me give you a clean example. What is happening between the stretch of road from Babaju to Bamenda? For up to now, work has stopped. Nobody knows whether what is happening. The company comes once in a while, disappears. If the rapporteurs were actually doing their work, they would have gone down to find out. 2 times that road has been cut. People have slept on the road for 2-3 days. Even right up to Santa, there was a small stretch of road just measuring 20 meters. It blocked traffic. People slept on the way for a whole day. So if the rapporteurs were actually doing their work, they should go down to the field and see what is actually happening.
Okay.
Not to stand on treetops and look down and
you made that
write
point.
reports.
We were going to come to it. We'll just queue up. We have some other things, honorable members of parliament, the two of you. Why haven't you opened a debate on the crisis in the Northwest and Southwest regions in parliament? Why, in addition to what he has said, you have some other projects in the country? What do you actually do? Why don't you come up as parliament?
Ladies first.
Lady first for now.
Are you afraid to start now?
Let me start.
No problem.
With
I
your
can start or
permission.
you can start.
No,
Okay,
it's
It doesn't really matter.
ladies first.
Okay. I want to say that it is not completely true when you say that Parliament has not opened debates on the Northwest and Southwest issue. I want you to understand that it is not because you stand and shout that means that you are doing something. I want to remind you, if you knew, or tell you if you didn't know, that when all of these things started with the teachers and the lawyers, parliamentarians were the first people who sat face to face with the lawyers and the teachers. Mm-hmm. Yes, many people don't know. I want to make it clear because the CPDM parliamentarians from the Northwest and Southwest sat with those people on the table. It took them 12 hours. And I am glad to say today that truly the discussions which they had, many of the recommendations which they made are the things which have come to ease the situation and to make better our country.
Yes, Honorable. No, I don't want to stress on that point. Did they meet as Parliament or as members of Parliament?
Oh, yes.
Alternatively said as
official
elite?
meeting. Official meeting.
Okay.
As members of Parliament.
No, it's official.
Yes.
Remember.
Well, you cannot, excuse me, you cannot have an official meeting of parliament that engulfs
of parliamentarians.
That
we had the go ahead
which has only one political party in it. And let me go further. On that note, the SDF parliamentarians parliamentarians. I didn't interrupt you.
No, you didn't. But you are not taking what I said into context. We had permission from the Speaker of the House to hold the meeting. So it means that we were holding a
excuse
meeting
me,
as parliamentarians.
Having a permission and requiring a permission already shows that it's not official. Because when it's official, you don't need a permission. But let me come back to what I'm saying.
You do.
The SDF members of parliament went as a parliamentary group, not as an official, to the northwest and the southwest. We went there. We were in Buea and we were in Bamenda to try to calm down the situation. There was a lot of work going on to have the situation, I would use this term, under control. But then it so happened that the CPDM group decided to go and sit with these people, and then it escalated into violence. And remember, even the CPDM ministers were in Bamenda, upstation, and Buea, and everything escalated into violence.
Please,
so
put it into context. Don't put it out of context.
I want to say here,
that is not what
you were asking, the question was not what Parliament did in 2016, 2017. The question is, what is Parliament doing? Because we are using we are consuming the taxpayers' money today to do that work. And I would like to tell you, Tim, that if you followed, I think Victor follows more often than you, if you followed the closing ceremony of the March session, late Honorable Lifaka, may her soul rest in peace, presented the position of Parliament to the plenary and informed parliamentarians as well as the national and international community that the Right Honourable Speaker of the National Assembly has put in place a special committee working to bring up a special plenary for us to talk about, and I think that's what you meant, for us to hold a parliamentary debate on the issue in the Northwest and the Southwest. And that is something coming up. Unfortunately,
you have it
this
planned?
June. Okay.
I am not the Right Honourable Speaker of the National Assembly. I am just working at my own level to make sure it happens. And it may happen. The parliamentary agenda is controlled, unfortunately, according to the Constitution, by the head of state and the President of the National Assembly. So I'm neither one nor the other. And so we are working and pushing for it to happen tomorrow morning. If it doesn't happen, all these things take time and coming. But it will happen. I'm definitely sure it will happen because that's the normal course of where things have to be. Now, I just want to come back to what my dear friend Tim said about the COVID funds. You have to understand that fundamentally, again, Parliament is more about public policy control than about what is going on. We are not auditors, okay? We are not auditors. That's the concept. So what I want to say, what the scandal in the COVID funds is that Mr. Biya takes 180 billion without going through Parliament, with no regard to the finance bill put in place by the people of Cameroon.
Is it not the money went directly to her?
Emergency, then
why as soon as I start saying something, all of you jump on me? Let me go to the end.
We are not. We are just concerned.
Let me explain.
The way you put it.
Listen to what I haven't even said what I wanted to say.
Okay,
you are concerned.
But we just want to think that during emergency cases, we need emergency actions.
Okay. Okay. Let me say that the Cameroonian Parliament is in place for any emergency according to the Constitution. If you go into a state of siege or if you go into a state of emergency, it can only happen through Parliament. So it means that even if Cameroon is bombed tomorrow morning, it's only Parliament that can come and say, Mr. Biya, we are in a state of siege. Okay? So there is no emergency more than that. You cannot, Mr. President of the Republic, take 180 billion, divide it into the drawers of your ministers without even going through the Ministry of Finance. Just in March, the Minister of Finance sang nearly every day in Parliament that the state has only one cash box. There are not two. Okay? So you come 3 months later, the president sends money left and right as if he's sending Christmas gifts to his ministers. And when that money disappears, you start complaining. The problem is that the executive doesn't respect the laws that Parliament gives to it, that they themselves bring to us as bill.
That is
I did not respect it.
That is the topic we have.
Honorable,
do you control?
No, excuse me.
And so,
Honorable has touched something. I want to comment on something.
Yes.
Honorable,
Yes.
don't you think that our parliamentarians are very, very weak? Because Parliament is the state.
yes.
But when you push a point,
But
you relax.
you come back to
How
what
do you
I said.
expect that this thing should go back?
I fully agree.
Influential and powerful.
I fully agree.
The
I
executive
fully
is
Good. My
I
problem,
fully
Honorable,
agree
is
with
this.
you.
Even despite the fact that the government minimizes so many things,
Yes.
the government, even the recommendations that I'm talking about have never been put in place. It means that the government is very slow to implement. But I think that the parliament has a right to force the government to react.
Of course,
Because
and
when
do that job.
that's why you come back.
That's the topic we've understood you.
That's
And then
why.
our
That's
question,
why you come back
which
to
is the
where.
topic
That's
is
why you come back to where I started.
Control of government.
You
action.
cannot have control of government action in that way when you have an electoral code that makes sure that it fabricates an obese majority for the government itself.
Well, we
you
know
cannot.
That's a different
That's
story.
completely
altogether.
different.
It's not a
That-
different
that-
story.
that's a
You
different
cannot.
story.
You
Honorable,
cannot have
You
a power.
cannot put it
You
that
cannot
way.
have.
Legally,
excuse me.
Legally, it's as
Honorable,
You cannot.
I
You
know
cannot
that-
have. You
put it
cannot.
that way,
You cannot
Honorable.
have a
Legally,
power.
it's an
You
assumption.
cannot have a powerful
that's
parliament
an
when many of the parliamentarians present, okay, do not have the necessary independence to be powerful, okay, and that is why. Just go into parliament. You have been twice. Go into parliament and see what happens.
I've
Go
been
into
going there,
parliament and see what happens.
I've been covering
So what I'm saying is that
I
to
agree really
correct
with you. Because
in
there are
parliament,
parliamentarians who go there only to sleep.
in
They don't even say anything.
Mind your
you can
language.
They just watch.
Mind your language.
with all
Because
due
Honorable,
Now,
in the
we-
past,
Somewhere,
for instance,
No,
with all
let me tell you something in the past.
with all due respect,
There's no way that you
with
find
all due respect,
180
it is not
vocal in the
a
same way.
problem
Yes.
of
But
individuals.
parliamentarians
Now,
are
Okay,
vocal.
it is a problem. It
They
is a
ask their
system that is
questions.
in a place that makes it such that the parliamentarian is not respected. It's
Well,
a system that is in
then
place.
it looks like
when I
it-
talked
it looks
when I
like-
talked about
Are you
standing
not
up
sure
for
that
an
it is
SDO, it
the
was not
parliamentarians
about
themselves who make themselves not to be
respecting or not.
respected?
Exactly.
Yes. It should be the
the MPs
parliamentarians themselves make themselves not to be respected. Because a parliamentarian should be
That is-
respected.
that
because
is-
they're the people who vote the
that-
laws
that
of
is-
this country.
that is-
but when the
this-
parliamentarian makes
Tim,
themselves not to be respected,
Tim,
they're
that is
in the
a
past,
full-
Honorable.
that is a full-time
Yes.
job.
Let me tell you something, Honorable. In the past, when the SDF had the majority in parliament,
No, we never
No,
had.
when the-
sorry, second majority. Let me put
No,
that
we
way.
never had a second majority.
Yeah, you were the
We had a
second.
parliamentary group.
Good, sorry. When the
There is
SDF had
nothing
the
like a second
parliamentary
majority.
group, and when your other colleagues were trying to play funny games, you people always take a walk out.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, when
and
you
the walk
stage a
out
walkout,
created
does it solve a problem?
it don't solve a problem.
It doesn't solve a problem.
Because-
it means-
Sit there and put your point.
let me
it means
Keep
honorable.
walking
let
and when
me
you
let me
walk
say
out,
let me
what
say
on
let me
earth
say
are you
this
doing?
let
Are
me
you
s-
helping
let me
the-
say
the-
let
the
me say this
situation?
very let me say this very clearly, okay? I am not in politics based on what individuals do. I will never come on CRTV and say an MP is sleeping or is not sleeping. That is not why I'm in politics. I'm in politics for my country. I'm in politics for the system.
Are you not concerned about what
for
your
the
colleagues
system?
do?
For the system not to produce people who go to parliament to sleep. And for that to happen, we have to go to the root cause. The root cause is that we have a constitution that we are supposed to respect. We have laws that we are supposed to put in place so that that constitution, the spirit of that constitution is respected, so that the people of Cameroon are represented in parliament. And when you have a situation like the one today, where I come on CRTV, press hour, if I'm not
30
mistaken.
seconds, yes, press out.
Press hour, if I'm not mistaken. And the subject is why there is no debate on the floor of parliament on the Anglophone crisis. I can come back to you and say there is no debate because the CPDM doesn't want a debate, and the people in the northwest and southwest voted CPDM MPs in so that there is no debate. But
And
that
you-
is
and you-
wrong.
and you
No.
But fundamentally, I know that.
Honorable,
Let me go to
Honorable.
the end. Please don't cut me here.
You are part of the parliament.
Please don't cut me here. And let me
You are
go
part of that
to
parliament.
let me go
Are
to
you
the
not a
end.
member of the
Let me
parliament?
go to the end, not to be misconstrued tomorrow. And the problem is exactly there. And the point is that as long as the people are not represented duly in parliament, all those incongruencies
How do the people get represented in parliament if they are not voted by the people?
With a correct electoral code, Honorable,
Okay.
you know it.
Electoral
You are a very nice lady. You just happen to be in the wrong political party.
Oh no, I'm
It's the
sorry.
electoral code.
I believe in the CPDM and its values.
And what I'm trying to say and to reiterate is that because it's important. It's very important.
You let other people speak.
It's very important.
Yes, 30 seconds, please. Take 30
well,
seconds.
you always give me 30 seconds.
No, you take 10. You are taking more than that. Okay. It means that from what
you know, it's not only in Parliament that I do workouts, sir.
Can you work out even on the program? If you want to work out, then it means you don't even want your points to be understood.
My point is understood by each and every Cameroonian. It's just very difficult for the CPDM to understand it.
It shows that parliamentarians have some frustrations.
You are not.
We're going to go back. We're going to go back. We hear that, please, Honorable. We hear that Honorable Walang is still on the line. He's watching us. What are some of the difficulties?
Watching us when there is no light in the hotel.
What are some of the difficulties?
He was in the hotel.
CITV also broadcast on Facebook.
Controlling governmental action is not easy. And there are so many things that parliamentarians or legislators, which we are, we control. It's a synergy issue to control. We are doing our best. You see, you believe with me that today in the country, there are so many things that the parliamentarians are doing. They are controlling. Everybody, like now, when you see, take for instance, just of recent, the Babaju Bamenda Road, which the parliamentarians and the stakeholders and the civil society, they met the Minister of Public Works and tried to talk with him. And there are so many things that he said, which was very important. It's not easy. Take, for instance, the auto route, Douala Yaoundé. Like they limit this support. And the present security situation, especially the Anglophone crisis, the Northwest and Southwest, which is not an easy thing. We have to do our best. I said it one time that there is this issue of local diplomacy, which we have to put in place. People will only be looking by parliamentarians, but the other sectors, the other stakeholders. You know, the problem we have in this country is the mindset of the population, of the people that have been given responsibility. But if I tell you the difficulties that we parliamentarians are going through, you will ask yourself so many questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable. We are asking those questions. That's why we are here. And you are following us. Just to remind our viewers that even if you don't have lights wherever you are, you can watch CRTV on your handset. That's your telephone. If you just connect to CRTV web, Facebook, we are streaming live. Lights or no lights. Yeah. We have Elvis Teke, who has reactions from some of you. Elvis, welcome to the program. What are some of the reactions we have?
Thank you, Kilian. Quite a good number. We're just going to try to summarize as much as we can. We begin with Mulu Nash, who says, even the questionnaires know that it's a difficult dream, and some parliamentarians decide to stay quiet in order not to be problematic to justice. Tachi Roland says hello to the crew. The control of government action is clearly spelled out in Section 35 of the Cameroon Constitution. So many Cameroon parliamentarians know that. Prince Mutabeme Obesa Mudika says some parliamentarians may not know the power they have got. LV Star says there is a rubber stamp parliament. For Eugene says, how can parliament control government action when it's having difficulties controlling itself? And Mary Kilachin says there's no control of government's action in parliament.
The last one.
And Sheikh Tabufo says Parliament of Cameroon has been captured by the executive. And we'll conclude with Bless Ndifo, who says, how long will it take for the ring road in the northwest to be on the agenda?
Okay. Thank you very much. Time does not allow us to take all those reactions, but we want to appreciate your effort following the program and reacting promptly. We don't have time to go into the debate again, just time to get out of the topic. We're going to start with you, Victor Cham. Your last word in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think MPs who are contractors should do well to execute contracts to the end.
Yeah.
And lastly, we shouldn't blame them because, like he said, some became contractors before coming to parliament. But
Then
also,
they should go to parliament.
they should derive another method of operation immediately come to parliament.
Tim
I think that's
Finian.
very important.
Tim Finian.
Yeah, I think that our parliamentarians should at least understand what we're going through, particularly those of us in the northwest and the southwest region.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Honorable Osi.
Well, I think Mr. Teke read just a few comments coming in from viewers, and generally they hold it that Parliament doesn't hold government to task, and I think we can do much more. And I like what Prince Mudika said, that many parliamentarians don't know the power they have. And I just want to reiterate and re-insist on it that the point is that Cameroonians need to be aptly represented in Parliament.
Thank you very much. Your presence here is our honor. Honorable Joshua Osi, Member of Parliament, Wuri Center, SDF. Honorable Etombi Ekome Gladys, your last word.
Thank you. I want to say that while we do our best to follow up on government actions, we should always have in mind the right mindset, because when you go into controlling government action with the wrong mindset, you can use the honeybee and the fly as examples. And if you go as with the mindset of a honeybee, surely you are going to be sucking out the nectar, the best part of the flower. But if you go in with the mindset of a fly, you will only be looking for trash
and boozing around
and building on it.
Thank you very much.
Let us build on the positives to move our country forward.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Just time to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving us your time. If you didn't watch this program from the beginning, we have a rebroadcast on Monday from 2:30 to 3. That is when it starts. Anytime between 2:30 and 3, you can watch this. And wherever you are, you can connect even right now and watch us on CITV Web, Facebook. Thank you very much. Nice day to all of you.
God bless Cameroon.
En voulez-vous, c'est plus d'options de liberté. Avec C-Online et C-Mobile de CCA Bank, accédez à tous les services bancaires et prenez le contrôle de vos fonds en temps réel, en tout lieu, en tout temps et comme vous le voulez. Bref, le banquier c'est vous. Également, expérimentez la liberté avec notre gamme de cartes interopérables en zone CEMAC et dans les grandes surfaces. N'attendez plus, c'est la période des Happy Month CCA Bank. Souscrivez et bénéficiez des meilleures offres et avantages de bienvenue sur nos services digitaux. CCA Bank, la finance au cœur des traditions africaines.
Covid-19 n'est pas une fiction, c'est une réalité. Je l'ai eu et j'en suis sorti guéri. Mais tout le monde n'a pas la même chance. Protégeons-nous, protégeons les autres, toussons dans le coude, gardons la distanciation sociale.